everyone, it's Kate Byers. I'm excited about today's broadcast because we're talking about how to disconnect your mind. And I think if there's one question that we get over and over again, is this one. I think we're all talking about it, right? How do I disconnect? How do I turn my mind off? So we had someone write in and they said, Kate, you know, I always hear that I'm supposed to disconnect from work, and I get that, but I love the work that I do. And there's obviously stress involved to make sure, you know, I'm performing well and that sort of thing. So how do I disconnect without taking my finger off the pulse? And I think that's really the key thing, because all of us get what it's like to disconnect for a holiday, or we get these little moments, you know, a birthday party on the weekend or something where you just really get absorbed and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so refreshing. But then the minute that thing is over with, you're right back to it. Okay, so I love the question. It's a really, really common question among high achievers, especially because high achievers are driving. But I think it's a common question for anyone who's just trying to balance your work, your home, your family, everything that's going on, right? All right, so let's dig in. The first thing that you have to keep in mind is that the way we like to solve things is external to us. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. Because I did this for a long time too. It was, you know, you might have an alarm on your phone that reminds you, you know, to put your phone away, which is odd, right? Or you might have an alarm on your phone that reminds you that it's time, you know, to read or read a book. It's like always these external things that have to be telling us what to do. Another thing that would be external is truly like, you know, forcing yourself to go to something on a weekend because you know that you'll get so engaged in that you'll, you know, be forced to unleash your mind. Like for a long time as an executive, my daughter liked to ride horses. And so I loved going to the farm with her because I knew when I was at the farm, for the most part, I could disconnect. I could really get into nature, into the animals, into what we were doing because I had to focus. The sport required me to focus on that. The problem with that is you're still not releasing your mind. It's like we're replacing one thing for a next. It's certainly better, but it's not what we really call freedom of the mind. Okay. So that's, again, it's another external thing that gives us permission to release our mind from worrying about work, thinking about the deadline. Ooh, I forgot that email. I didn't get back to the client, or how do I get back to the client? Or, that's an icky thing that I have to do. How am I going to communicate that well? Oh, I can't believe my boss just said that. You know, just think of all the things that go on about our day that are chaotic, confrontational, stressful, not easy to solve. And what happens is those just end up in our brain, right? And then what we do is we race and we have all this pressure. How am I going to get this thing solved? Because what you're really wanting to do is get to that place of peace. Get to that place where you're really disconnected, right? Okay, well, this is the wrong way to approach it. It's not about having, you know, some external force give you permission. It's about flipping that switch and saying, wait a minute, how do I develop the ability to disconnect? I'm going to say that again because it's so important. How do I develop the ability to disconnect? Well, anytime that we are going to create internal change, it is massively helpful to know why we do the things we do. Okay. Now I always studied human behavior from the point of a marketer. You know, my whole career has been spent in marketing. So obviously you have to understand people if you're going to market to people well, but I never really understood human behavior, and I certainly didn't understand my own behavior. Okay. So what really did it for me was I had tried everything external to me that I possibly could, including, you know, giving up my career, giving up my paycheck, massively changing my lifestyle, et cetera, and it still didn't work. My mind was still chittering. And I'm like, what is going on? So it was then that I finally thought, okay, well, I got to change something inside, because not everyone lives this way. Most people do, but there's a few who do not. And one of the people that kept coming to mind for me was Richard Branson. I was like, you know, he doesn't look like he's suffering in stress a lot. I mean, I'm sure the man has massive amounts of stress, massive amounts of pressure, problems, you know, all sorts of things that come up to him every single day. Looks like he's having a lot of fun. He looks like he's enjoying his success. And if you ever read about Richard Branson, he's been doing that long before he was successful and long before he was a billionaire. Okay, and Sarah Blakely would be another one that you would read about. She was having a lot of fun in life, really understanding that she had to work on herself long before she became a billionaire. Interesting. That made me think. So I began studying human behavior. And so here's what you have to understand. If you are going to make lasting change for yourself, where you can really say, right now I live in a space where I am always connected to work. I find it really difficult to disconnect my mind. And that is creating a compromised life in whatever way for you. I can't really, enjoy my workouts because I'm not at peace. The whole time I'm doing yoga, I'm thinking about my to-do list. I can't really enjoy my children because the entire time they're talking with me or I'm playing with them, I'm not really in that moment. Or I keep telling them I'm going to play with them or do something with them, and I'm not doing it because I have all these other things that I want to get done. Same thing with your spouse. How often do you just, take off for the weekend or really have a deep, amazingly connected conversation with your spouse versus, hey, honey, what's for dinner? How was your day at work? Blah, blah, right? So we're missing out on this whole thing that we're working so hard for, the sweetness of success, because our mind is always connected to the to-do list, all the things that must get done, all the pressures at work, etc. So you want to go first, and this is where people really, really, really miss out, is you have to understand the root of why you're behaving that way, okay? So it's just like if you're gonna go on a diet, right? If food means community to you, let's just say you grew up in a home where food means community, like everyone got together around the dinner table and had wonderful family dinners, and it's where you connected and created a community. You could probably go on a diet for 30, 60, 90 days, but the likelihood of you getting off the diet and going back to your former eating habits is really, really high because you've never changed that root belief, which is food means connection. So if you take away food, now you're taking away connection with people, and that's something that you really love and need, right? So until you change your frame, until you change what your beliefs are, your food is always going to mean connection, and you're always going to overeat, or you're always going to have, a lot more food in your life than maybe you want and maybe what's healthy for you. Okay, so that's an example. So in our case, when we're talking about disconnecting your mind, it's learning why you cannot disconnect to begin with. Well, most of us who are listening to this broadcast have grown up in what we call an achievement culture, okay? So if you're in the United States, you're in a first world country, most first world countries have a high achievement culture, which says, unless you're working hard, unless you're suffering for that success, unless it's hard, it's not valuable. You've grown up in school systems that have said, we only value you if you get an A+, because the A+ kids, they get a tap on the head. The B+ kids, not so much, and that sort of thing, right? So there's this whole culture of what? You're more valuable, AKA you'll be more successful if you're always grinding. So there's two reasons we believe this. One is we've grown up in a culture or a family situation where we felt that we were either not capable, subconsciously you feel like you're not capable of getting it all done, like keeping all the balls in the air. So if you subconsciously, you can't consciously see it, if you subconsciously believe that you're really not capable, what will happen is you don't dare take your finger off the pulse. Does that make sense? Because it's like, if I take my finger off the pulse, the other shoe is going to drop, the sky is going to fall. And you logically know that's not going to happen, but it's subconscious. So just like that example I just gave you about like having the family meal, that belief is down there, which is like, oh, I'm not really capable. And so that means that security, you feel more secure if you just keep your mind on, okay? The opposite of that, or not the opposite, the other framework that we always see subconsciously is feeling that you're more valuable if you keep all the balls in the air. And this comes from wanting a high level of autonomy. If I can keep all the balls in the air, if I can keep control, I will keep my autonomy and my freedom. If a ball drops, there might be a ramification I don't like, okay? So that in itself, because your subconscious is trying to protect you for those two reasons, either make you feel secure or make sure that you have the freedom that your subconscious wants, it's not going to allow you to shut your mind off. And so that's why putting your phone away, putting your laptop in your car, leaving your laptop in your car for the night, coming home early and trying to play with the kids at 4, even though your mind is still like chittering, doesn't work. A lot of people will try meditation. Meditation can help. Again, it's a wonderful way to really quiet the mind and relieve yourself. But again, what we have found is that in that moment of meditation, we find relief, But the minute you stop meditating and you have to go out and like hang out with your family in the great room, all of a sudden all the chittering comes back. So again, it's really releasing those root causes, those subconscious beliefs, and rewiring those that we have found so impactful, especially with our clients. And we teach, there's a variety of processes, but you really want to root out and say, why do I feel this way? Why is this so important to me? What do I believe is going to happen? And we want to change at that belief level, because when you change at that belief level, we get lasting change, right? So back to the food example, if I change my belief about food, if I believe that food means happiness, food means community, food means love, because I grew up in a family where we all commune around the table. If I change my belief around food, and I'm like, food is sustenance, and I can have community playing Monopoly. I can have community enjoying a seltzer water instead of 4 gin tonics or whatever. I can have connection with people hiking, or, joining an outdoor club, or I don't know, whatever, like at the opera club. Like I can create community in different ways. Once my subconscious mind starts seeing that and believing that, it's like, oh, now food is just food. It's just something that we use for sustenance. And now eating a lettuce leaf instead of, a 4-course meal with friends is okay. And you can sustain it. It doesn't mean that there's not times you won't slip backwards, or there's not times you're not going to eat a little piece of chocolate cake, but it's just very controllable. You're like, there goes my mind. My mind is wandering. You pull yourself back into a disconnected state, because now you've resolved it at the subconscious level. Does that make sense? Now, why would you even do this? Gosh, Kate, that sounds like a lot of work. It's going to take some practice. It's not something that's an easy button. And that's the other big problem in our society. We want an easy button. We want it cheap. We want it free. We want it easy. We want it now. Instead of going, well, wait a minute, if I start this process now, where would I be in 8 weeks? Where would I be in 2 years? Where would I be in 10 years? Understanding that it took many years to get you to this place, it might take a little bit of work to unwind some habits and create new ones. But oh my God, wouldn't freedom of the mind be worth it? Because what happens when we have freedom of mind? And here's the other thing you have to do. You have to have a goal. Because if it's just like, I don't like this thing. I don't like the fact that I can't disconnect my mind. Yeah, well, so what? There's a lot of things in our life we don't like, but why change it? You have to get really, really in touch with why it's important to you. So for me, the reason it was so important was freedom. I was like, I don't feel like I'm living a free life. Freedom is so important to me. I want control. I want freedom. And the irony is everything that I was trying to control, which was my career and my time and all these things, it was actually giving me the opposite. It was building a gilded cage rather than creating the freedom I wanted. It was one of the steps was learning to free my mind. That's what actually gave me freedom, because it was like, whether I have 5 minutes or I have 5 hours, I can actually enjoy this moment. And what you will find happens is you will find that you are much, much sharper and more agile when you are in the office. Ideas will come to you, things that you didn't think were solutions, strategies that you never thought were possible. You're just being more nimble and more agile on your feet. We lose a lot of that from our childhood, because as a child, we allowed our minds to wander. And so we were creative, we were problem solvers. We came up with these incredible, beautiful solutions that is much more difficult. Believe it or not, you're losing your edge all these years of not disconnecting your mind, okay? So the first thing that should really, especially if you're a high achiever, that should motivate you is regaining an edge at work. The second thing is not being able to really be present for people you love, right? I mean, that's why we surround ourselves with people we love. I mean, whether you're a parent, you're in a marriage or a partnership of some type, or you just have really good friends, like relationships take work, right? I mean, that takes work and energy to be a parent. It takes work and energy to be in a relationship. Do you not want it to be the most special thing on the planet? Right? Or is it just something that's just kind of happening in the background? And one of the things I realized was like my relationships were just sort of happening in the background. I wasn't attending to them. They were there, but I was taking them for granted. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to look back and go, man, I have just taken people in my life for granted. It's no wonder no one's going to show up at my funeral. I've never put real effort to be present in the people I care about's lives. And that broke my heart. I think the third thing that's really important, and what we're all striving for, the irony, is true success. Like the reason we're working so hard to be a success is why. There's this wonderful place out there that we're all going to get to where, the flowers are blooming, the bees are buzzing, the birds are singing. this glorious place where success feels good. Where's that place going to start happening? It's happening now. And that's the real tragedy, is that we're missing out on the success that we're sowing. We're not living in it. We're not enjoying it. We're not reveling in it. It's just a slog to keep propping it up. And that's the real tragedy. That's what like broke my heart. I was like, this is like, how do I figure this out? Right? Because this is not success. This is not what I was buying into. This was not the dream. And so you really have to get in touch with your motivation for doing these things. For a lot of us, it's thinking forward. When you're 80, what are you looking back on? And is this really what you want to look back on? A life of compromise, a life of good, almost good, kind of good, but not good enough, or do you want to look back on awesome? Do you want to look back on amazing? Do you want to go, wow, I have lived well? That's well-being. That's an optimal state of well-being. I sucked every bit of life out of life that there possibly was. And I stood up for the things that really mattered to me, including being a success. I love success. I love making money. I love having a career and having impact. And I know you do too, but that's just a piece. That's just a piece of a well-lived life, right? So I hope today's broadcast was really helpful for you. If it was, please share it and also leave a comment. Do you have a question? Do you have a follow-up question? Do you have something else you want us to talk about? Let me know and we will share that with you on the next broadcast. In the meantime, if you are someone who is a driven professional and you are struggling to disconnect, I want you to consider booking a call with our team. On that call, what we do is we strategize with you. We figure out what's really going on for you, what some of those root causes are, and what, if anything, can be done about it. Obviously, if we can help you, we'll tell you. But if not, what we do is we'll refer you to someone else or some other sort of resource to make sure that you get maximum value from that call. So we'll leave a link below to book a call with us, and look forward to chatting with you on next week's broadcast. Bye, guys.